What's going on, everybody? It's your boy ptkblam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast, the Shop Podcast 367. Shout out to everybody in chat. Shout out to everybody that's going to be watching live later on the replay. Appreciate all of you. We got a very special first-time guest this week. It's been a while since I actually said that. I actually went back and checked the archives, and it's been a while since we had a first-time guest on the show, but it was more than overdue, and we got a great one today. But before we dive into it, like I said before, appreciate the continued support here at the Shop Podcast on the channel. Much love to everybody watching and show up every single week, man. You guys are fucking awesome, and you guys are the single reason why we do this every single week, man. But let's get to the pleasantries. We're going to start with our awesome guests. We're going to start with our guest here, man. And once again, like I said, big deal, first-time guest here at the Shop Podcast. Been a while, but Mr. Korkenstein, man, a phenomenal gamer, does a couple different YouTube channels, has his own. All of the information is down in the bio, in the description as well below. Does Breakfast with Boom. Shout out to Boom as well, too. So, man, glad to have you on. How you been? What you been playing, brother?
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It was awesome. You reached out and I was like, yeah, dude, this is great. I know Pong, I know Fuzzy. Yeah, it's awesome. What I've been playing, man, so many great things. Battlefield 6, obviously. I'm so happy Battlefield's back. As a former dev of the series, I absolutely am ecstatic that it feels like Battlefield again, but we could talk about that a little bit later. I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight again.
Nice.
And a game called Wildgate. Not a lot of people heard about it or been. It's like a space Sea of Thieves, just more focused on a little bit more PvP action and stuff like that. So very cool concept. And yeah, it's a little known title, and I hope more people get to hear about it.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here. In chat, you guys know what to do. Go show some love, show some support down in the description below. Go follow the man. The Twitch is down there, the YouTube channels, both Twitter accounts are down there. So please go show them support. Cork, appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Hope you have a great time on the show today, man. And once again, we appreciate you just taking some time to be here. So you guys know what to do, chat. But on to my two right-hand man, the two best right-hand man in gaming in this podcast thing. But let's start with you, Pong. How you been? I know what you've been playing. What you got to sell this week? So I already know what you've been playing. We can skip that. We got plenty of time to get into that. What we selling this week?
I can't sell anything because I've been playing Battlefield.
Golly.
I mean, what do you want me to do? I could sell you Battlefield, though. I mean, again, Cork just started it. I mean, we already sold Fuzzy on Battlefield, which I'm sure we'll get into because he joined us and we sold his ass. He was going to sit on the sidelines to start out because you know his hate for EA is real. But after playing with us, I think we got him convinced. But yeah, no, that's all I've got to sell this week because that's what I've been playing. I mean, again, since Thursday, so I was in early access, man. So I got nothing to sell this week, unfortunately. But I got a lot of Battlefield to talk about. No, otherwise it's great to be here. It's great to have Cork here. First time. I always love having first timers on here. Like you said, it's been a while, PTK, since we've had a first timer, but great to have you, Cork. Love getting the new opinions and different voices in here. That's what the big part of this community is about, is having other people show up and talk about some of the same topics that we always do. But we're gonna have a good night because again, I'm hyped because Battlefield is back, and
for the fourth week in a row
we trust. Yes, for the fourth week, rightfully so at this point. Now that we've got hands on, rightfully so. So anyways, but we'll save it.
Absolutely. No, even rightfully so before. You know what I mean? It was so hype coming into it. So yeah,
but we had to get hands on. We did have to get hands on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just to sign, seal, and deliver.
2042 was getting some hype before we got hands on, and even though I enjoyed the hell out of 2042, again, I got over 200 hours into 2042. You know, most people got hands on and was like, oh, no, we're going the wrong direction, Battlefield. So this time around, the vast majority of people, I got to say, are saying that we are in the right spot with Battlefield for a change.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into that.
Yes.
We're definitely getting into that for sure, chat. Do not worry. Like I said, the fourth week in a row, and it's not a game. Go back, check the archives. Fourth week in a row, we've talked about Battlefield, something about Battlefield, man. That's how amazing it is and how excited we are about it. But shout out to you, Pong. Nothing to sell this week, but maybe next week, guys. Who knows? We might Maybe
Yeah.
there's something drops. Who knows on Game Pass? We'll dig something up to sell you guys. We'll figure it out. But shout out to you, Paul, for coming through.
I'll have something next week
Have
because
something next week. Got us.
yeah, because Steam's got a couple sales, so I'm picking up Achilles Legends Untold and Achilles Survivor, which is another Vampire Survivor ripoff. But obviously in Greek, so we are going to hit those, and I'll talk about those next week probably. So
all right. Well, let's get it, man. Pre-orders. Make sure you got those pre-orders. Pong got to get those sales now. But shout out to you, Pong, for coming through. Shout out to everybody in chat too. Appreciate you guys. Blue, Isaac, Poison. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop podcast is live. We got a fucking phenomenal show lined up for you guys today. So bring that energy. Shout out to all you guys in chat. What's up, Shane G? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you stopping through. Crispy Bomb in the house. Crispy coming through. Some more Boom love. Shout out to Boom as well. But let's throw this over to you, Fuzz. How you been? What you been playing? Well, since you've been converted, it sounds like you've been you sold him on the luxury package. Pong?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Battlefield luxury package.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Oh man, it's great to be here. So glad we got Cork on here tonight. Man, this is going to be a good one, but love being here with UPTK and Pong, man. Yeah. Pong sold me on this. Battlefield 6, like it sucked yesterday for me, only because I didn't have a headset. So I'm playing it on my Series X while on the road and can't hear anything. It works best with communication, but even without some, it was still some fun. Getting to res some people, I got to get used to switching out the smoke grenades because it seems like I'm so used to throwing regular grenades as opposed to doing for coverage for people to bound to the next location and stuff like that. But man, oh man, it was a ton of fun. Had brought a few buildings on some people while being the second gunner on the tanks, and had buildings fall on me because rocket launcher guys just taking out buildings left and right. But man, that game. It's the only thing that made me put Division 2 down, which is saying a lot right now. But
I know.
Yeah, I'm sold on the pre-order. But there's another game coming out in October. They don't have it in the store yet, but NASCAR 25 is going to be the one that I'm really looking forward to towards the end of this year because the iRacing crew are the same ones that used to work for Papyrus back in the day. For one of my favorite racing sims. They're going to do it again with this one, I think. Just looking at the early phases of it and the dev deep dives that they've been doing on it, the handling seems like it's the same quality stuff that they've been doing with iRacing. So looking forward to that. But man, we got some topics to talk about.
Oh yeah,
can't wait to get into them. So yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it. Let's get it. And like I said before, you guys know what to do with the first time guests. Make sure you guys show some love. All of that information, all the Cork's info is down in the description. So go check out the Twitter accounts, the YouTube channels, the podcast, everything he has going on. Please show that love and support here at the Shop Podcast, man. But let's dive in. Like they said, we got a lot to fucking talk about, and it's gonna be a fire ass show. So lock in, chat. Lock in, man. So first and foremost, man, I want to get to this because it is a bit spicy. And we're going to start with this one, Paul. We're going to start a little different this week. I want us to talk about the recent information about PlayStation or Sony coming out. Basically, the CFO stating that Bungie is essentially going to end up, well, this is paraphrasing, folded into first party at PlayStation. So Bungie as a studio, as we know it, was purchased for $3.6 billion a few years ago. They still were independent up until, as far as we know today, which means they still had some say-so over what type of games they wanted to make and budget and all those different things. And it looks like the unfortunate series of events have led us to this point. And I got to give you credit, Pong. I got to give you guys, as well as you too, Fuzz, because you guys read the fucking tea leaves like 3 years ago. And you guys were dead ass on this one, especially you, Fuzz. You've been beating on this drum for a while that Bungie was going to end up being a first-party studio over there. They were going to essentially be demoted. So we're going to start with you, Cork. What do you think about this? Obviously, man, just Bungie has not been in the best place with Marathon essentially being shelved indefinitely at this point until we see otherwise. And then you don't have a great lineup going forward for live service games. And they seem to be purchased for that particular reason. And they're not even really contributing to the reason that they were purchased. So where you at on this one, Cork?
Yeah, so this was something that was baked into their contract. Basically, if Destiny If they couldn't meet certain sales goals and release date expectations, things like that, that Sony had the right to fold them, like they would lose their independence basically. And so we've kind of saw it on the I just don't know how like Sony didn't do their research first on Bungie,
The
because
books. We talked about this. They was over there
yeah,
cooking the books. They there's no way they could have seen Bungie's finances and thought, you know what, we'll give them another $1 billion as well. Like that evaluation, whoever it must have been Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder went over there and did that evaluation, because they missed a lot of numbers. They was over there with Sharpies and markers, all in those books. Because there's no way there's no way they could have saw that and paid what they paid.
absolutely no way. And this is something that's been known about Bungie for years. Like going all the way back to when Microsoft had them. They have to be micromanaged. They have to be handheld. You know, that's why they left Microsoft originally, and that's why Microsoft didn't want to give the money to Destiny, to Bungie to make Destiny in the first place. They said, no, we want you purely on Halo, because they knew they couldn't really be trusted with millions of dollars. And I mean, it was kind of a bonehead decision on Microsoft's part, but I think it worked out well in the end for them. Because yeah, like once Destiny came out with Activision, you know, Activision just let the leash go, and then we saw what happened. They weren't making content on time. They were struggling to get stuff out. They were missing dates, and then that's why Eververse was created. So Eververse got created, and that kind of killed the game, in my opinion. It brought in a lot of revenue initially, but it was for me, that was the first like step of the downfall for Destiny for me. I used to be a big Destiny player, love Destiny, and I think that's where it went, because the game became all about FOMO. You know, trying to get everything in. The game became a chore. You had to play every day or you're gonna miss this, and then they started sunsetting things, and it just went downhill. But I mean, this was well before even PlayStation got a hold of them. So
Yeah, sure.
I can't see how they didn't see this. And a part of me wants to say maybe they did it for the IPs, but I mean, Bungie only has Destiny and Marathon.
Well, we speculated, Cork, on this show at least, and I'm sure you've been on multiple different shows talking about this. That was absolutely a stopgap for COD leaving PlayStation. For PlayStation, them knowing that Call of Duty was not going to be that net that PlayStation had before, essentially for their third party. You weren't going to be able to take advantage of that, because think about it. You know, they were doing those day one deals. They had Call of Duty made a fuck ton of money for PlayStation. So them knowing that, okay, Microsoft's serious about this, they're really going to inquire about purchasing them. We need to fill that gap. And Destiny looked like a great gap filler. It really should have worked out by all means and purposes. When you think of Destiny as an IP and the amount of people that play it, it was bad timing on top of just terrible management at Bungie, which compounded the already bad decision they made by overpaying for it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's where I went back to where they were like missing deadlines and stuff. And that's pretty much what happened with Destiny is they just kept, you know, stumbling. Like that's always been the Destiny kind of I guess way is, you know, 2 steps forward or 2 steps backwards, 1 step forward kind of thing. They always seem to be kind of shooting themselves in the foot, which is sad, because like Destiny does, and I've said this on Boom, I've said this on other podcasts, Destiny has the best gunplay in any first-person shooter, no doubt, hands down. The gunplay just feels amazing, and it sucks that Destiny kind of went the way it did, because it was such a big money maker. It was, you know, it had millions of players. Eververse was a massive revenue generator for them, and then just with the story and how it's done, so this was kind of, I think, coming for a long time now. I think they were going to be there, but for like, you know, factions, and they were going to be the team that you know, do what you did with Destiny, make us a bunch of money. And then, you know, they were like, well, Jim Ryan's out and we're going to kill all of his live service projects. And it became something that was just, I wouldn't say a waste of money, but definitely not the money that they paid for. They're not going to get out of it, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next for Destiny and how they utilize Destiny. Do they become just a live service team? Are they still going to be a developer? You know, which is sad, because they are talented developers. They just have horrible management.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, 1,000% agree, and like you said, that's the tragedy in all of this is that what once was at Bungie, we're actually having a conversation about this, Cork. This is real. Like this is not some kind of terrible dream. If you're a fan of Destiny, where do you sit right now, right? And that's unfortunate for a franchise that started Halo, started Bungie, two multi-billion-dollar franchises, right? Like one studio. There's not a whole lot of studios walking around with those two feathers in their cap, Court, to be honest with you, right? A Destiny and a Halo. So that's super, super big for them, and it's crazy to see where we've come. So let me actually throw this over to you, Fuzz. Because Fuzz, I got to give you credit. I got to tip my cap 3 times to you on this because you've talked about this, brother. When the deal was made initially, when Sony overpaid, you said this was fishy, and it was a reactionary purchase just to the Call of Duty thing, and then read the tea leaves. You said it years ago that like this is probably what's going to happen. So I got to give you credit for that. Now, did we think it might happen this quickly in this way? Maybe not, but it looks like we were on track.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was the rumors that we were hearing when they talked to Microsoft and Phil had passed it up because it seemed like it made sense. The perfect opportunity to bring Bungie back into the fold, take their live service prowess and, expand on it a little bit, do what they did with the Game Pass deal when they injected the like the DLC and stuff like that into the service, and it brought a lot of players back. I knew if Phil's passing something up, there's something up with it. And I made a post and people clowned me for it, saying, the price was too high. It's like, what do you mean? It's $1 trillion company and they could afford anything. It's like, no, when something isn't worth what they're trying to charge, the price is too high. It's like, it's not that they can't afford it. It's like they didn't want to because they didn't see the value in it in comparison. And then Sony went and picked them up, and I'm like, how long before they part ways? And I didn't think it was going to be a, Sony do the death kill blow kind of thing. I figured there was going to be something to break the relationship. Like, look at all their previous relationships. They broke up with Microsoft. They broke up with Activision. They were bound to break up with Sony, but Sony, being a little bit smarter in the contract deals, probably wrote it in such a manner because they probably saw what they were doing in the past, and they were like, you know what, we need instead of giving them an easy out, let's make sure we have a better exit strategy. And I assume they would absorb them to some extent, and that's kind of what they've done with some of the devs. I think went to that LFG new studio and stuff. And I always thought it was weird, even though some people will say it wasn't really them that killed factions. It was more of like they suggested that, hey, you're going to need to ramp up your team over at Naughty Dog to be able to continuously support it. And then when the question came up about, well, how do we have the time and manpower to still do the single player games? It's like either you grow or you can't. It's a either or kind of thing at that point. But I always thought it was weird that they were asked about factions in the sense that Naughty Dog made factions with their, first, The Last of Us. And I figured it was successful enough, even though it wasn't a money maker for them in that regard, because they didn't, turn the wheels up on season passes and things like that. But I figured, why have a team that's already dabbled in multiplayer have to rely on other guys that, their track record is good, but it has some flaws. And some of the consumer and community outrage when it came to some of the shards and the dust and all that stuff and the pricing for it and the sunsetting of content. So it's like, I would have said, just let that stuff go as like whatever you have, put it out there in early access. I know Sony doesn't really do that, but that could have been their game to try it out with, to have the community help mold or shape that game. Because at the time when that was being, concept arted and people pushed out there to talk about it without showing anything, there was that game, what was it, the day before or the day after or whatever, that was like the scam game where it looked great in concept, but it wasn't the extraction shooter that they claimed it was supposed to be. And that game all along looked like a cross between The Last of Us and The Division. So all the factions had to do was look at that blueprint, actually deliver on that, because we knew that other was fanatical or not fanatical, but whatever the hell their team was called, they didn't seem like they were going to be capable to deliver it. Naughty Dog, I think, could have done that, and they would have had the community feedback and so forth to grow that game and grow their team,
So
to have a split where you can support that type of stuff and still do the single player. But
I have a question.
Yeah.
And does anybody know, Pong, Fuzz, Cork? You guys know the answer to this. So was it official that did Bungie see factions? That's official, right? That's on record. We know that they saw factions, right? Everybody's we sure on that. Okay. So I always wonder what they saw. You know what I mean? As far as factions, to tell them, you know what, that's not really it. Like, because you bring in, like you said, a team that they know how.
It wasn't about it, but wait. It wasn't about that's not it. It was that Bungie laid out to him what it was going to take to continue producing that game over a long period of time, because we had those discussions. Remember, we had those discussions about how in 2024, 2025, a studio like Bungie, games as a service are nothing new. This has been going on for a decade. We had sat here in conversations. How the hell are you a modern day dev studio and not know what it's going to take to support a games as a service title that you're creating, right? That was our discussion, because that was what came out of it, was they didn't
That's
want
even
to,
worse.
Right.
That's worse than what I was even suggesting. The whole start over thing. That's worse. That they're like shoulder shrugs and everybody's cleaning their glasses. When you know what I mean, situation like, what the hell? What do you mean you don't? Yeah, that's crazy. That is insane. Go ahead, Fuzz. I don't mean to steal your topic.
No,
go ahead,
and all of the other internal issues that they had the guy buying cars and inviting some of the female co-workers over to look at the cars, and firing or laying off employees before they're vested with the extra money that was given to Bungie to, keep
retain
some
them.
of the retain the talent there and stuff. And it just felt like everything that could go wrong was going wrong, just short of like some of the shenanigans that was going on at Activision. But it seemed like Sony wasn't fully aware of the problems or the little mini fires either Activision would put out or keep quiet when they owned them, and it just came to a head where Marathon, good luck if we see it. I'm not wishing any negative on that game, but it just it feels like at this point in time, considering how Arc Raiders is shining in that genre and it will probably be released or was intended to be released around the same time. You got games like Battlefield that's pretty much made, other than us talking about Marathon, people forget about anything called Marathon for the most part. So they're in a tight spot. We've already heard that they've waived off doing the Destiny 3, which I think is a mistake. But then again, I guess it would be the same issue that they had with Halo, constantly making the same game that they want to move on from. Then you have the factor of, Marathon didn't have a PvE component. And I think whoever is going to be the mass appeal break-in team to make a good extraction shooter for the masses, you're going to have a PvE element. Like, to me, that's what the Division is. Escape from Tarkov is kind of learning because they're doing the single player stuff, and they have the I guess you could say the test runs that you could do with bots and stuff. That, I mean, none of that stuff carries over, but at least you get situational map intel and things like that, so you'll become familiar with some of the boards for future. If Marathon isn't doing anything along those lines, I don't think that there's going to really be the interest that they think. I remember hearing some rumors that $40 price that everybody was claiming was not what they were targeting. They were targeting a little bit higher, but not a full 70. And at that point, if you look at Concord, even when that was at 40, that didn't really get the people in the door type of deal. So I don't want to say I hate to be right, but the only thing I was right on was that there had to be something wrong if Phil passed them up, and Phil dodged a bullet in that one. And I know there's a lot of times people are on his head about studio closures and things along those lines. But it would have been even worse if all of this unraveled under Microsoft, and
Oh man,
how they like to
Jesus
point out,
Christ.
oh well, mismanagement this and
Yeah.
mismanagement that, and it's like, well, Sony sometimes mismanages or underestimates or overestimates, I guess, what the potential of a team can do, and this is a perfect example of it. But the Bungie that we know is not really there anyway, so. The name of Bungie going away, or just being wrapped into a new studio, or even let's say it's Bungie but it's not an independent Bungie anymore. I at this point, since there's no Destiny 3 on the table, at least the way things are looking
That's
now,
my thing. Yeah.
I don't think I won't say I don't think anybody will miss it, but I think doing that absorption type of thing might guarantee that a Destiny 3 does make it, or something that can be a PvE, PvP, all, jack of trades kind of game that they're good at with their gunplay, that will get people in the door. Because I'll be honest, I don't think Marathon's it without a PvE component of some sort, even if it's just scouting or something.
They're going to need to go back to the drawing board on Marathon. Marathon has a fun problem. And I remember I sat here and I fought for weeks after seeing Marathon why there was something missing. There was some ingredient. I know what I know what I like. I can't speak for everybody on this, but I know what I like. And we talked about it like multiple times. Shout out to Steel too. What's up, Steel? Yeah, we waiting wild, brother. Waiting wild over here. What's up, Fuzzy Tomato as well? But and I couldn't figure out for a long time why there was something missing, and it just didn't look fun. It didn't look appealing, didn't look like it had what it needed, like you said, to appeal to the people they were trying to make it appeal to, because this was supposed to be their next big game, and they don't, as far as I know, have anything else on the table, and I want to get there too with all of you guys. But let's get to Pong on this one. And Pong, reading tea leaves here, right, buddy? We talked about this many times as it unfolded, and it sounds like this is just a matter of time, basically, per CFO, right? Like, this looks like this is just a matter of time, and this is going to happen because they haven't earned the right to maintain their independence.
Yeah. The only thing I'll take credit for is that, I said that they cooked the books. That's how they got as much money as they got, right? I said that almost from the beginning. They cooked the books. That Jim obviously just either ignored the numbers they were seeing or completely pulled a snafu and just never even double checked and just trusted, which in this day and age you cannot do. So I said from the beginning they cooked the books, and I also said that when Hiroki took over that it was that was done. Like again, Hiroki was going through each and every single studio's finances,
audits,
right? and there was just no way for Bungie to overcome what the management at the top had done. And we've gotten basically some verification at this point that the top was skimming the books, right? And that they were taking money. And there was a lot of problems in that studio from a managerial standpoint, but definitely from a financial standpoint. They didn't know what they were doing. They were robbing Peter to pay Paul the entire time. They thought they were always one DLC away from being in the free and clear, but what they did with Destiny 2, in fact, was continue a decline. And they never got back on track again. And they continued to piss off their community. They continued to chase people away and then say, oh, everything's going to be fine. We'll bring you all back. Here's something exciting. And to their credit, again, they've got one of those communities, such a long-standing community that a lot of people would come back and try again. But then, as Cork and everybody's kind of brought up here, with sunsetting content and doing that kind of stuff, eventually it's a death by 1,000 cuts, and you were never going to overcome the financial situation. And I think that is part of the reason why Sony wrote the contract that the way they did. So even though they overspent, they did give themselves an out with those clauses in there that they obviously had to hit certain marks. Otherwise, Sony had the right to absorb them. So they did kind of, protect themselves a little bit if this was going to all go down this way. And that's exactly what happened. But I think the writing was on the wall. I didn't think they were going to survive. Obviously, Marathon just compounded the issues. Obviously the first reveal, the fact that they cut down Marathon from what it was originally going to be to a much smaller project. And then the first reveal is okay. Actually, I was very intrigued by the proposition. I'm one of the people that on the side that I did like the artwork, but then we come to find out the artwork is partially stolen, from somebody else, and it just kind of mounts from there, and then sentiment goes downhill real quick once they get a playthrough showing of Marathon to the point that PlayStation themselves go ahead and say, no, we're going to delay this game. Latest word, I think that came out this week too, was they actually did talk about Marathon, and they said it should be releasing by March of next year. But they did that when they were talking about it, and I think this was during this was out of the same interview that the CFO, big quotes this week as well. I think he said, well, we're expecting it to come out. We're fixing things, and we believe that it's going to drop in March. However, if it doesn't, we will go ahead and revise our numbers again. So he left the window open that they might not be able to fix Marathon in time to even launch it by March. So that's never a good thing. You would think they'd be out here be like, nah, we got it under control. It's launching by March. No big deal. We got it fixed. Nah, that he still left himself out there. So yeah, Bungie's not the same. We've seen this with a lot of devs. We all have nostalgia for certain devs. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of devs that are name only, or even if they have some of the original core team, which Bungie still does to a certain degree, the personality, the atmosphere of that studio has changed so dramatically from what it used to be. And this, again, I'm talking about a lot of studios, BioWare's and et cetera, that you can't recapture the glory days, and no matter how much you want it. And not to say that Destiny wasn't good. Again, I was a huge Destiny 1 player. I played some Destiny 2 when it first came out and then dropped out of it. Again, I choose not to spend that much time in those types of games that do, like Cork said, that do require you to be in there all the dang time. I just don't do those anymore. I'll put long hours into games for sure, but I can't keep myself there. But Destiny was very good, and it was obviously built a giant community, and they had a lot going for it. But again, the death by 1,000 cuts, because the studio just isn't the same, because you got people at the top who are willing to skim off of the books, who are looking at as a purely a money-making situation, are no longer there after decades of blood, sweat, and tears given to this industry, are there to cash a check, and are there to cash a big check, and aren't so concerned about actually making the games anymore. And you see that erosion time and time again in this industry, and Bungie is just the latest in that long line. Unfortunately, that does happen over time. And so not surprising here. Sony's got to do what they got to do. Again, it was, in my opinion, a waste. Yes, they're going to get some things out of it. Yes, they've got control of Destiny. It's still going to make them some money, without a doubt. I mean, they still got some, some things in there. But overall, for what they brought that team in to do, at least what Jim brought that team in to do, again, let's be very concrete in this. This was Jim's idea, clearly. Probably a little Herman Hulst just going behind him as Herman is wont to do. Yeah, boss, that looks good. Yeah, go get it, boss. That's going to help us a lot. But I think ultimately this is going to be a waste, and this is a failure, a bad decision, I should say, on Sony's part to go and purchase Bungie.
Yeah, that's
I wanted to say, Pong. It reminded me too when you were talking about the community, like always forgiving. I don't know if you guys watch South Park. You guys remember when they spoofed the BP oil spill? And the guy's like sitting there. Yeah, he's sitting there for like a minute. He's like, "We just wanted to say I'm sorry."
Right.
You're so sorry. And it's like a minute, and he's like doing like funny like poses, like he's on like a bearskin rug and like Speedos and a fire, and he's like, "We're so sorry." And he's like, that's pretty much Bungie, like what they did with Destiny for majority of its time, is just apologizing to the community
and then turn around and do another dumbass thing. Like that's the problem. I mean, again, it's a lot like Battlefield over the last decade, right? It's kind of the same scenarios in a lot of ways. Oh, oops, we're sorry, we're gonna fix the next one. Oh, no, we're really gonna fix it this time, folks. No, we know what we're doing this time. I promise we're gonna give you the Battlefield experience. And again, that's eroded that community down to nothing. Now, again, we're gonna talk about it. Zampell's bringing it back a little bit here, but that's what happens. Again, they're not alone in that. It's just crazy how many places do that.
No, absolutely, 100% true, 100% true. Like it's crazy to see that, but we're talking about Bungie in this way, though, Pong. Right? The esteemed studio, like I said, with that prestige, 2 multi-billion-dollar franchises. Nobody else has a Halo and a Destiny under their belt, right? That's impressive, right? But to see where they're at, the mighty have fallen. It is unfortunate. Like you said, it was from the top. It's from the top. People skimming, skimming money off, going to buy cars, doing other things, losing complete interest in the community, doing the opposite of what the community is requesting on a consistent basis, like actively working against their own game, and you can see it in real time, and it's just insane to see. So this is the unfortunate. I got a quick question before we move on too for you guys, and just a quick kind of lightning around the horn, and for you guys too in chat. Shout out to everybody as well hanging out with us, Mac. Roshan, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Appreciate all of you guys. But so since nothing's in the chamber for Bungie, like what do you do with them? So say for instance, right, this happens right there in the next year. PlayStation, Sony absorbs them. They become first party. What do you do with them? Like, what do you do with Bungie?
Do you make them a support studio? I mean, that's basically what you do at that point.
Okay, so you don't have a game, though. So you don't have a game to make as far as we know. I don't even know if they have a concept of a game outside of Marathon.
Right, so they're just a support studio at that point. Then you go have them help other projects as needed. Because again, look at what it took for the last. Again, this is my opinion, but look at what it took for The Last of Us 2. They had to go out and hire. I mean, I think something nuts number like 3,000 people worked on The Last of Us or more. Like they had to go out and get a bunch of support studios. Well, now you've got an in-house support studio that can run around and do different things while maintaining what's left of the Destiny servers. I guess at that point that's your role at that point. But I'm assuming, like they've already done, they will absorb more of the talent into other studios as needed as well. And maybe Bungie just becomes, fades away at that point, and there's really nothing left of Bungie internally. That's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I think they got. I think they got. It's been a long time rumored they have Destiny 3 in the chamber, basically. It's been on work on the back end for a while now. I think they've been doing a lot of the concept stuff, getting storylines, getting new assets, things like that. But that was kind of before all this change up happened. So who knows? It's always been a rumor. They've always talked about expanding it into a more of an RPG-esque, like kind of more games. So you already have that MMO kind of components a little bit with Destiny. But yeah, they have talked about like making it a little bit more on the RPG side. So like a branching skill tree, things like that. So who knows? Maybe they might, hey, they stumbled a bit with Marathon. They were thinking maybe Marathon would be their live service title that would sustain more money into the studio to work on Destiny 3 eventually. But I think Pong Soul's right. I think more than likely PlayStation will just utilize them as a live service support team. Basically help us develop like what Jim Ryan essentially wanted them to do. I think use them as a support team to help other games get their live service in order, how to monetize it, how to make it fun, things like that.
I mean, you do get a very high quality, talented studio. There's still a lot of talent there, to be honest. So I do understand where you guys are going. It's just crazy to see the possible deterioration of this studio. And once again, what does that leave Destiny fans, right? Like how long? I know you guys said, maybe you buy some time with Marathon. Maybe Marathon comes out, maybe it doesn't. It sounds like the CFO still has it on the table. It's still on the table to come out in his head. It sounds like, at least for now, until something changes. And I don't know where development is at, but I don't know how much worse it could get at this point. It's about as bad as it can be. Outside of announcing the game's like canceled. So
a few in the chat have said they're still working on Gummy Bears, but I mean that's kind of like a little concept title. We don't really know the status of it.
Yeah, wasn't that supposed to be like a Smash Brothers knockoff kind of thing?
I think so. That was the rumor.
I just have a hard time believing that you're going to see if this actually goes down this way and this is kind of the end. And Marathon, let's just say that Marathon doesn't move the needle, right? It just doesn't do much. Maybe it will. Again, maybe they fix everything and it comes out and surprises people. But let's just go under the assumption from the way that people did respond that it's just going to continue. I just can't see Sony investing more money in anything that Bungie's wants to do. Like, I guess, especially PlayStation. Like, again, we've already seen Xbox cut down on the things that they're investing in from some of their most trusted studios. ZeniMax Online had an absolutely killer IP, right? And they just toasted it. I can't see PlayStation of all the different publishers going, yeah, we're going to flip you some more money after what you did with Destiny, and obviously how Marathon turned out. Yeah, we're just going to flip you more money to start a whole new big project again, or any type of project at that point. I just don't see it. I just
so they turn into strictly support, which is crazy to me. I think you still could incubate maybe a small team, like you said. There's somebody got to stay behind to maintain at least the servers and whatever plan they still have for Destiny 2 at this point, because they still got some kind of seasonal plan, it looks like. At this point,
there'll be small
Destiny
stuff
2,
that they still do for Destiny.
like
They're still making money off Destiny too. So I mean,
for sure. So depending on how they're able to maintain that community, and keep that fed as well too, before you can actually maintain or incubate some kind of new idea. Because like I said, I don't know what the fuck is going on with Marathon. We don't know what's that. We at this point we know that like it's on the shelf. We know they're taking a second look at that thing, and you didn't even mention when you were talking about that week that happened, right? We had that showcase. They had a full week, and this was a big deal. This wasn't like, this was a separate event from everything else. This wasn't like some kind of, this is part of a PlayStation show. They had their own event for Marathon. This is supposed to be this is them handing off the baton. Like you said, Cork, right? This was supposed to be the next IP. They're supposed to hand this off, and you're supposed to maintain the Bill of Rights until we figure out what we're doing next. And that just did not happen. That bridge disintegrated, and freaking Arc Raiders coming out with that beta or whatever, like 4 days later, sped that process up 100 times over. So like, I don't know, man. It's pretty insane just to see where things are at.
And the bigger shoot in the foot for this is that Marathon's going to be a premium title. That's the thing. So it's going to cost money. And I mean, I don't know, I know I talked with this about Fuzzy on Friday. Like, I remember playing the original Marathon back in 1994. That's, it was on the Apple Macintosh, before they were iMacs, they were actually called Macintoshes. I remember playing it, and it was a fun first-person shooter. It wasn't an extraction shooter. It wasn't anything like that. It was more of like a Doom, or like a Quake kind of thing. That style of person to person. So I don't. A lot of people don't know Marathon, especially in an age filled with Fortnites and Call of Duties, and that kind of thing. So. And I even mentioned it earlier, there's a game that is hands down like a way better PvP version of Sea of Thieves called Wildgate, but it's not getting the attention it really deserves because they decided to go with a premium title, launch. So they're charging money for an IP that not a lot of people will know about. So it's like another shot in the foot for them that they're going to try and especially when there's so many out there. With extraction shooters now, like maybe back in the day, like 7 years ago, when this concept started, extraction shooters, they were kind of the rage. And then now this development's gone on so long, they're a dime a dozen, and it's hard. It's like PUBG. PUBG was one of a kind. That was the first thing. Now look how many battle royals we have. It gets oversaturated, and now, but you're already 5-6 years into development. You can't just say, okay, well, we're going to need another 5 or 6 to rechange our game into the next big thing. You kind of have to just roll with the punches, and I think that's kind of what happened with Marathon. And if they don't pivot to free to play and figure out how to monetize that back end to get more of the casual consumer base into their game, sadly, I think it's going to be DOA. I don't know. Marathon, Bungie, it's not a Call of Duty. It's not a Battlefield. It's not a title that has a legacy really behind it in the way that those titles do, that people will gladly pay $80, $90, $100 to buy into.
Let's be truthful here. You could have everything you just said, you could minus all of that. It still had a steep hill to climb, minus everything you just said. Just the fact that it was a extraction shooter coming from a studio with a fan base that is used to a looter shooter, which is a completely different type of game, and they weren't necessarily on board when the idea was announced. When the game was announced, it wasn't like there was some huge the communities. No, they were not that excited about Marathon. They were not out the gate. You guys remember? You guys remember that PlayStation Showcase? They're like, what is this? Now, obviously, we thought the art looked cool before we found out it was somebody else's art that doesn't even work for Bungie anymore. And that was really unfortunate too. But it just, once again, that is a series, like you said, Death by 1,000 Cuts, right, Pong? You know, you just a bunch of small things over time turn to big things, and yeah, you don't really have another plan, Bungie. Like, what do you? So I guess you do turn into a support studio if that's what keeps the lights on, and maybe Bungie finds themselves with a little bit more time to develop some other kind of game if Marathon doesn't make it or do some kind of huge U-turn. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with Marathon. It is in a very uncomfortable spot right now. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, though. Shout out to everybody watching, man. Appreciate all you guys in chat. Blue Moon, Crispy, Poison, everybody. Shout out as well, too. I know I got some. Let me pull that up earlier. I'm sorry about that. I know somebody sent something earlier, and I'll pull that up in a second. But, man, we'll move on to the next topic. But, yeah, man, we're going to be talking about. We got to get this one out of the way because I do want to talk about Battlefield for sure. That's going to be probably the bulk of the show, Pong, because we got a whole lot to talk about. I'm sure you got a quite a bit to talk about regarding Battlefield 6. But I want to talk about this Contraband, man, and the fact that unfortunately we see another victim of that 2021 era, or that 2021 showcase, 22, I believe, 21 showcase, and it was Contraband. So it was officially announced that they have stopped development of Contraband. So, I mean, basically all but saying it's officially canceled. So it's once again another game that we didn't see anything from, not any actual gameplay. So I guess it hurts less, but that does not excuse, obviously, once again, this is just one of the ones caught in the wind. We didn't really know the status of the game, how far along it was. We never really got an update at all outside of that trailer that we got 3 or 4 years ago. So I want to start with you on this one, Cork. It is unfortunate, once again, that this is happening, but like I said before, it seems to just be kind of caught in a windfall. But where you at on this one, Cork, with Contraband essentially being canned?
It's sad, and I mean, I've never really, especially from a very beloved studio like Avalanche, for those that don't or might not know, I mean, they did Just Cause, they did Rage
Avalanche.
2, Mad Max, so they're, if hunting is your game, Call of the Wild, the Hunter Call of the Wild. So they're a very, great studio that does some pretty amazing things with it, and it's kind of sad because I was really looking forward to see what they would do. But at the same time, I mean, we really haven't seen anything. This is where I was going back to where we're talking about Marathon, to where maybe it might be one of those things where, it started off as this great concept that was, really cool and taking off 3 or 4 years ago. And then, they thought maybe it might have some longevity, and now they're hitting that 4th year, 5th year, and they're like, wait a second, this isn't turning out how we want. We need extra time. We need another 2-3 years, maybe, and Amy Hood's looking, they're like, no, I don't, we can't give that to you right now. So it's kind of just up in the air, or they're trying to figure out, is this something maybe they can salvage with the least amount of time to come back to? And this is kind of where Microsoft and Xbox kind of shoot themselves in the foot again, where they announced stuff a little too early. And, Phil has numerous times said, hey, I'm not numerous, but he said it once, at least that I can recall off the top of my head, where he's like, we're going to keep some games a little closer to the chest, because they didn't want another scale bound thing to happen. And granted, this isn't on the scale of that. I mean, no pun intended, but it's not that bad, but I mean, we really never got to see anything, and you'd be surprised how many games never really get that greenlit. They spend, some time in concept, and, and then they kind of see what the feasibility of it is. And then they're like, nah, but you never hear about them. So, I mean, this isn't uncommon. I just think it's kind of riding that wave of, negative Xbox news of them canceling games and things like that. And I think that's what more people are disappointed about, is the recent cancellations of games from Microsoft,
layoffs, and stuff.
Yeah, and how they're handling it. But I mean, game development's expensive, and yeah, I mean, you can always say, oh, it's $1 trillion company. I mean, well, Xbox is $1 billion company, Microsoft is $1 trillion company, but it doesn't mean they're going to spend all of that trillions on titles that just won't see a return of investment and ROI from them. So, eventually there is some times where you just have to make that hard choice. And most people don't understand what game development entails. So it's easier to sit on the sidelines and just be like, you should have gave it more money, and especially for a title no one's ever seen or know about. So it's
too. We don't know much.
It's easy to stay on the sidelines and just armchair development and think you can run a budget, and it's oftentimes doesn't work that way. So eventually you do have to cut ties, and it's a sting. It sucks. Nobody likes to see games canceled. I'd love to see every game produced, make out, but sometimes you just don't have great games. I think this is kind of a title. It'd be interesting to see the two different sides now. We just went from Marathon, where they're kind of like, oh man, what are we gonna do? Do we just release it and let it do what it does, to where Microsoft's just like making the hard choice now of just saying, yeah, this isn't working out, sorry, we're not gonna, we don't want to be the next Marathon or Concord, so we're just gonna guys now. So it sucks, because I was really looking forward to a lot of these titles that have been canceled.
I was
like Perfect Dart. I love the vertical slice they showed. Yes, people, it was a vertical slice. It wasn't an AI generated fake trailer. It was something in the industry called a vertical slice, where you get to see, it's like a piece of a cake, where you cut it and you take it out and you see the different layers of what the game has to offer. It's almost like not like a full featured title. It's basically has all the stuff you kind of want to show and want in your game, at its most basic level, just to showcase what it can do and what the game actually is. And that's a vertical slice. They usually see it when they, when you have the higher ups come and take a look, and that's probably what Xbox saw originally, and that's why they showcased it. And then then they're looking at it again, and they're like, wait a second, this just isn't working out. So it sucks. But yeah, kind of look at it on the other side as I always tell people, look at it as if you're a CEO of a company. You got to kind of take that, seek first, understand before being understood kind of stance to really see what's actually happening. And I get it. You want to get reactionary in your feels, and it sucks. But I think overall, if the title wasn't working out, I'd rather have them put it on the back burner and have it in their back pocket to kind of relook at, maybe once the gaming, because it's always changing and it's so rapidly changing, that they can maybe bring some of these titles back every now and then, if maybe that style is what's in, or maybe they can rework it to something cool that can fit with what's more modern in the times, that they already have most of the development done on it. So we'll see. I hope maybe we get something from Contraband in the future, but like I said, if it just wasn't turning out, I'd rather have them cancel than put out a bad game.
Got it. No, that makes sense. I'm gonna throw this over to you, Paul, and get your opinion on this. Once again, we talked about this many times, and Cork brought up a bunch of great points. Just about development and how you got to look at things from, that RTS view. Shout out to Steel. We're stealing that. No pun intended. No pun intended. But yeah, Pong, where you? I know Pong, that laugh, man. What's so funny over there, brother?
Oh, come on. You've been around me long enough, PTK. Look, first of all, all respect to Cork. Obviously, he's in the industry, right? I disagree with him, obviously, when it comes to these type of topics, because obviously I've been very loud about this over the years in podcasting. May not know what it's like on the inside, but again, Cork said that, nobody's really happy to see game canceled. Bullshit. The financial people are happy to see games canceled, right? So within a big corporation, the money men are happy because it's a tax write-off at that point. So they are happy to see it canceled. Decisions are not based simply upon game quality. Common sense is thrown out the window many, many, many times. And yes, obviously, we love to armchair. We are armchairs. We're not in the industry. We're not devs. And we're nowhere close to the C-suite level, that the decision makers that have to do this stuff. But just like in sports, fantasy GMs, many times sports fans are more right than the actual ownership groups, the actual GMs themselves, who are supposedly the experts in those places. Many, many times. Yes, we are very much also very wrong a lot of times, but I don't think it's as easy to hand wave when games are canceled just to say, well, it was probably for the best. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that especially in this day and age with where we're at, with where this industry is at, and like I said, I've always placed a lot of blame on the industry. This industry is way too secretive for its own good. What Cork's trying to explain, totally get it. We don't understand all the process and how many games get into development and then are canceled. Absolutely. You want to know why? Because this industry acts like it's covering up military secrets. I've always spoken out about this too as well. I can't stand that. If they want more understanding, which they don't need to, again, don't be wrong, I'm not entitled, I don't care, but if they want more understanding from the fans, they should be more open and they should go ahead and give us all the looks behind the curtain, but they never do. Never. We know the exact financial details about individuals' contracts in sports. We know about the actual cost that it takes to make a movie before it even launches. And we know the ticket sales on a weekly basis and where it's going to start making profit. We know none of that in gaming. None of that in gaming. And I think that is absolutely wild for an entertainment industry. But anyways, back to Contraband. I hate it. Another game that's lost, another game that we're not going to get a chance to play, whether it was good or bad. I will never celebrate games going away. And this on top of the rest of the cancellations again, ZeniMax Online, that game was going to be spectacular. And I know that. And I think it's terrible that they made that decision. Contraband, I don't know because we did not see a single iota. And so I get that. And it's not easy to sit back and say, well, that this for sure was going to be a good game. I like Avalanche as a developer. I had a lot of faith in them. Who knows? The whole concept could have sucked. The car battling might not have worked. All that kind of stuff. So, there's no way to say that for sure, but I will never celebrate not getting another game. I think that every game that gets canceled is lost opportunity, no matter what. You can point to bad games, of course, dropping and being out. But even me, this. I talked about this. Redfall came out, bombed, cost the studio a excellent studio, a very studio that I loved, right? In Arcane, cost everybody their jobs, right? Redfall. Except that it still exists. They were allowed to put out a final patch, and I went back and started playing Redfall and got some entertainment out of it in 2025. Right, so I think that every game that does get canceled like this, I can't stand. Again, sure, it's business. Totally get that. That's why I said started this by saying the money people are happy when this happens, and that's why we see this a lot, especially even this late in development. We've seen more of it in this development. Cork is right. There's probably a 10,000 games a year that get kind of started or just get the groundwork laid and then get canceled, but we've seen it more and more and more, even as this industry has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, games late into development getting canceled and never coming out. Games that we are announced officially getting canceled and never coming out. And I think that, unfortunately, to me, is a very frustrating and disappointing scenario. And so I can't say that I'm happy about it, but it is what it is, man. Got plenty to play. Not going to complain about that. We got plenty to play.
No, true. Facts. Like I said, I'm right where you're at with it. You know what I mean? And it is kind of a weird place to be in because you're right. On one hand, we didn't really see anything from it. So there's no attach or ties to it. It was interesting enough for me as a big Mercenaries fan. We talked about it on the show. Matter of fact, I think we talked about it last week, right, Pong? I think Mercenaries came up last week during the show, and I'm a big fan of that franchise, and I would have liked to see what they could do with it. Them being, the devs have made Just Cause and some other games that I really enjoy. For the combat, for the the movement, the atmosphere, the weather, things like that, how that would adapt to a game like a heist game. So, but yeah, like you said, it is a wasted opportunity. And like you said, one that we may not get back. Now, I know, Chad, I saw you guys. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't say canceled, air quotes, bunny ears. They didn't say canceled. They said, I guess, either the funding was pulled. Cork, you might want to. Was it just funding pulled?
The funding was pulled from Microsoft, and they're going to reassess, is I think what the devs said. They're going to reevaluate what they were going to do with the IP. So it's still possible that it shows
crystal clear. Yeah, yes. I want to just be crystal clear that it's not completely off the table.
Right. Sure.
We've seen these things come back before. Now, whatever version it comes out, we'll see. But it looks like they're going to take a second look at it for now. But Fuzz, I want to get your opinion on this, brother. Once again, it's never a good thing either way, and I'm with Pong on that one. That I think the opportunity is what sucks here, because there might have been a window where the game comes out and does well. You don't know that now, right? All that's up in the air because you're starting all over at this point in time. So where are you at on this, Fuzz, when you heard about it?
I wasn't as broken up about it as Blackbird. Pong had hinted to that. That one still kind of tears me on the inside, kind of thing. But that's because got to see some of it, and you never know what you miss until you miss it, kind of thing. And seeing it, it was probably a mistake on my part, but Contraband, definitely an interesting concept from a studio. I like their work with Rage 2 as well as with Mad Max with Mad Max, because that was like one of my favorite underrated games early in the Xbox One generation and stuff. But it sucks that we won't get to see it in the next year or two, possibly, unless some sort of outside funding. I'm assuming the outside funding is possible because Microsoft doesn't own the IP. They were just, I guess, helping or funding it to some extent without ownership. But I guess we should have been prepared. Not seeing a game, because we poked fun at Factions where they were showing concept art and bringing people out to talk about it and never showing the freaking game. So I guess it's kind of, egg on our face as well when it comes to Contraband in that regard. But, I would have liked to seen what they were working on. But then again, that might make it even sting harder in comparison. But I don't know. It could have been a Destruction All-Stars for all we know, and maybe good riddance at that point.
Or it could have been Twisted Metal, Fuzz. It could have been the next Twisted Metal.
It probably would have been a Twisted Metal, which I'm still kind of mad at Sony for canceling that, because that was supposedly one of the games as a service that they were working on as well. So, and they got a TV show, so it's like the synergy between the transmedia stuff as far as having the TV show and having the game readily available. That makes sense. I mean, Fallout is a perfect example of that. But that, from what I hear, Fallout is the reason why Blackbird can't exist, because they're so far behind on getting a Fallout game spun up to go along with the TV show. But with not Concord. Oh boy, that's the wrong game. With Contraband, I don't know. I guess I would have liked to see a car combat or like a heist with cars and maybe some road rage stuff, climb the cars and or try to yank the driver out of the car, whatever the case may be. It would have been nice to at least see something along those lines. So I in all honesty, I hope they do find funding. Maybe it winds up just being like a PC only type of game, or at least initially, until they get a publisher that can bring it out. I know some people had joked, oh, what if Sony could publish it? Sony is not publishing anything other than their first party or anything else that was in the China project. I mean, it would be kind of hilarious if Sony was to try and do that and then try to make it exclusive, but I think that's so far off of Sony's table right now that I highly doubt anything like that would even be possible for them. But it sucks. Hopefully Avalanche can bounce back, because I like their work in other games. So hopefully this doesn't turn the lights off for them down the road, which it seems to be that a lot of these studios now, whenever they partner with a bigger platform, it winds up leveraging a lot of their funding. So they put everything into it. And then if something goes wrong, they're pretty much, SOL at the end of it. But we'll see how that goes for Avalanche in the general scheme of things. But, ceasing development, not really canceled, but, we've heard ceasing development on stuff before, and years later, we still don't have anything to result of it. So, and considering how many IPs, not just Xbox, but even PlayStation or Nintendo have, and then we don't see a sequel or a light of day of a follow-up, I can't really hold my breath for it. I mean, sure, we got plenty of games coming through. I'm probably more glad that Contraband was the victim as opposed to say K3.
True, that's a good point. That's a great point. It could have been something else.
Yeah, and that one I do have some concerns with because I did hear about some of the issues when the original or the founder was exiting and some of the stuff that happened during that time frame. It looks like they got a lot of stuff on track, but then again, we heard that a lot of stuff was on track for Perfect Dark. So, word behind the scenes doesn't always mean anything, but at least we got to see some gameplay of State of Decay 3. So that gives me a little bit more confidence. Although, once again, Perfect Dark, we got to see that, like Cork said, that vertical slice, which typically it's like in-engine stuff or pretty close to what they're working on. So, yeah, but yeah, I'll shed a tear for it, but not too many. Like I said, agree with Pong. Blackbird, I think that was I wouldn't say the mistake of the generation, but I do think that that's one that they should have just hired more people to do a specific Fallout thing as opposed to take that team off of what would have been possibly an even bigger game for Bethesda than what Starfield launched at, and continue that and then have a separate team do Fallout, or get the geniuses, well, not geniuses, but the talented people over at Obsidian to do something. Although I think they're already working on something Fallout related anyway, so we'll see how long that takes. But that's all I got.
It's a good point. Good point, man. Shout out to chat too as well. Great topic. Shout out to everybody watching live. Appreciate all you guys. That is very interesting to see, man. Once again, another game. Like you said, no matter how you feel about it, man, I guess the biggest loss here, like Pong said, and that's what I kind of always go back to, is just we may or may not get this at this point, right? Like it may not actually happen. So that would be the biggest loss at the end of the day, is that we just won't get a chance to play this game. And that would be very unfortunate because we've seen that happen and it's accelerated over the last few years, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and move on to the biggest topic, and the topic I left the most time for on purpose because I know we're going to be talking about this the longest, and that's Battlefield 6. And I know all of you gentlemen, I haven't played it yet. I know all you gentlemen have played the beta. I've watched enough Twitch. I've watched enough damn YouTube videos. I've been glued to it on my phone. And it looks amazing. And so I know we've talked about this like 4 weeks in a row, chat, like straight up. There's been a Battlefield topic like 4 weeks in a row, but I wanted to get you guys just firsthand. Is Battlefield back? Where you guys at? I know where you at on this one, Pong, so we're not starting with you. For sure, we're not starting with you.
You don't have to start with me at all.
Yeah, we're not starting with you for sure. No, I'm just playing. But, Court, will you do the honors? Obviously, give us a little bit of background. You know what I mean? Where'd you start? Are you a huge fan of Battlefield? Which one you start with, kind of there, and then kind of,
Yeah, Battlefield's back, baby. There's no other way to say it. It's back, and it feels so good. So yeah, I worked on Battlefield 4. So before I left Electronic Arts, I worked on Battlefield 4. And so it definitely holds a near and dear spot in my heart. I've played majority of the Battlefields. I mean, back then we had, Call of Duty and, would release, and then, mid-year it would be like Battlefield. So you were always going back and forth between the two. And yeah, so Hardline I really liked. That was the one after Battlefield 4. I never went to 5. I think there was Battlefield 1 and then Battlefield 5, I believe, and then it was 2042. I think I might have skipped those two. It's been for years, or maybe they were just overshadowed by how bad 2042 launched. And don't get me wrong, 2042 has made some amazing strides getting back, but I think like I said, it pretty much out the gate kind of kneecapped itself, and then it's so hard to get gamers back into something like that. So but yeah, I worked on Battlefield 4, and I would have to say, I don't know, I kind of feel like this is the most similar to Battlefield 4. Maybe that's why I'm just really, really digging it. the immersion is back. And I think that's a thing that people really, they've been so kind of desensitized to, because of Call of Duty, because of Fortnite, because of other shooters, where immersion and building that world building and how the gamer, or the, the player interacts with that world, is why Battlefield is so amazing and so fun, is because of like the little things that they added, like dragging the player, when you're, reviving, you grab them by the back of the neck and you're sliding them back, and things like that, or being able to hang off of tanks, the destruction of the world, little things. It just feels, it brings the player closer into the game, whether they realize it or not. And that's what makes Battlefield for me like so special, is that it's back, and everything feels right. I would say I think there are some little issues, but that's the point of the beta, is to kind of figure out what the TTK should be. For those that don't know what TTK is, that's time to kill. Things, of that nature. Spawning, spawn points, I mean, yeah, you can kind of spawn in at the bases and stuff like that. But spawn times, I guess I should say, what feels right with that to get the user back into the action. You don't want it to be too quick, you don't want it to be too slow. You got to kind of find that nice balance point. And that's what I think kind of the beta is. It's more so to slam the servers, and then also kind of figure out where you want to see balancing at, because that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to make or break, because I think it already has the foundation of what it wants to do, and it's definitely
done the hard part already.
Yeah, and I think they have a solid foundation to start off on. I think if anything is going to hurt Battlefield on release, it will be the balancing, between weapons and stuff like that. But what we've been playing so far has been great. I've been switching. I really want that sniper skin for the challenge, so I'm going to be honest. I've been a little selfish, of trying sniper. I'm horrible at it. So I've just been kind of just spotting people with the sniper rifle, just because I want to get those 300 spots, for that skin, and then I'll probably start working on other stuff. But it's just been fun. I got my my friends to jump in on it, for this open weekend, and they've been loving it. Like I said, we played for like 5-6 hours last night, trying to get all these different things, and just it's back, and it feels so good, especially in a time where I said, like, we have the Call of Duties, we have the Fortnite scene, and that was always, I think that's what kind of left Call of Duty so unchecked for years to kind of go the path that they did, is because the fallout, because they always had to compete with Battlefield, and without that competition, it kind of just left COD to go in a direction, and there was nothing to kind of ground them a little bit, to kind of keep them in check. But now that Battlefield's back, it's definitely, Call of Duty, I think, will still be overall the number one. But, I think Battlefield is definitely going to make them kind of stop a little bit and side eye it and be like, okay, we need to go back to the drawing board on a few things and kind of ground ourselves from where Call of Duty is going. So it's good. It's competition's always great, and I'm glad Battlefield is back.
Saying I agree 1,000%, Court. And that's the biggest takeaway for me when I first heard, Battlefield was getting all this attention when we first got the campaign trailer, and then that energy started building, and people started talking about all the clips that were being shown and how good the game felt, and then obviously the multiplayer stuff comes out, and then boom, that drops like a nuke, and then everybody's just talking about how great the game is. This is necessary. This is the industry balancing itself out. And the best case scenario for me is that, like you said, Call of Duty takes a look at itself and say, you know what, maybe there's something else we can do, right? Maybe we can do this a little differently. Maybe we can go back and try something different. Maybe we don't have to be so, whatever, right? Blasé. Maybe we don't have to be so arcadey, right? I guess that's the biggest issue right now, right? Call of Duty is trying to be Fortnite rather than Call of Duty, right? So at least from what I see and hear, people that play the game on a regular basis. So maybe this is something that balances things out, and that's what you want to see, man. And this is great for Battlefield, Court. Like, this is fucking amazing for Battlefield, and this is exactly where it needs to be at. It feels right, like you said. When the last time you jumped on a shooter and played 5-6 hours? I'm seeing that all over Twitter, all up and down my timeline. People talking about playing there 5, 6, 7 hours, and I'm like, man, this feels like 2014 all over again, 2013.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like I said, it feels like I said, it just feels like Battlefield, and it's been something that we've been really, I think that whether people want to admit it or don't realize it, that we've been kind of starved for is like an actual tactical shooter. Because Call of Duty, they do the whole quick action, the quick arc. It's a little bit more arcadey in that sense, which is fun. That's definitely something to every now and then you want to branch out and do more of that arcadey kind of gameplay. But this is, and I think it's going to be a shock for a lot of people that might be new to the series or new to this IP, that it's like this is a tactical shooter. It's not Call of Duty, where you just run and gun kind of deal. This is where you got to kind of clear corners, especially when you get inside buildings. There's a use smoke for what it's for. And that's crossing across streets, or providing cover fire to push ahead. I've seen some really cool moments. I have recorded of really cool things where like people pop smoke and you see a crew or a squad run through the street to get to the other building, things like that, or them pushing forward on one side and then a squad or two flanking out from behind, and then they just dominate that spot. There's a level here, and that I don't think people realize or will eventually realize what works, especially once you start getting a lot more of those hardcore Battlefield fans back in. It's amazing, and I'm, like I said, I'm so happy it's back. To answer Stoned Patrol, I was a QA lead on Battlefield 4. So yeah, I did that. There was actually a really funny bug. If just real quick, there was these oil towers on this one level that if you shot a rocket, it would spin around these oil towers like really, really, really fast. Wouldn't go anywhere. So I got kind of tasked with figuring out that. Took me like 3 or 4 weeks. I don't think we ever figured it out, at least before launch. I think eventually they did, but yeah, I had to sit there and shoot rockets at an oil field tower.
They should have left that shit in. They should have left that shit in.
Straight up, for real.
I think it was at launch, and it just took it was such like kind of like a rare bug. It wasn't
right.
It wasn't super like normal, but when it happened, it was hilarious. And then yeah. So I was sitting there for like 2 or 3 weeks before launch, just shooting rockets at a jet at oil filled towers, and then it was interesting.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome, dude. All right, so let's throw this over to you, Pong. Got to get your take on this, brother. I know this is something you've been, hyped up about. You've been playing it. You've been talking about it. Battlefield, man. Battlefield 6 right back where it needs to be. The hype is real. And I do want to get into some numbers here because we got to make sure we put things in the context here, too. So we do have some numbers, Every now and then we break out the Excel spreadsheets here at the Shop Podcast. So just to kind of put things into perspective here, Battlefield 6 did surpass 500,000 concurrent players on Steam. I believe 520K plus for the open beta surpassed every single Call of Duty player count, I guess, ever, which is super impressive just for the beta alone. And this is being the first one. So just with that being in context, Pong, where are you at with this beta, bro? I know you've been playing it nonstop.
Yeah. Except for today. Like I said, I tried to get in this. Bunch of stuff to do today, but tried to get in this afternoon for a little bit, and I tried for like a half hour and could not get in. Would queue up and then would fail out, and no matter what I did, restart or power all the way down, I cleared cache, I did everything I could think of, I still could not get in. So it's loaded, like their servers are loaded obviously for a reason, because word is out. First of all, shout out to Cork for working on one of the last really great Battlefields in Battlefield 4. Cork, do you get memorabilia from the games you work on at all?
No, well, I do have a golden disc that they gave me with my name on it. It's not like real gold, but
sure.
Yeah, but it has my name, Battlefield, has the game on it, and
that's so dope.
Yeah. So I have
I just like cool shit like that, man. What a thing! Because I've seen posters signed by all the devs and that kind of stuff too. Just cool shit like that, bro. But anyways, shout out to you for working on Battlefield 4 because that's freaking amazing. Yeah, I've been waiting on this, and obviously the hype has been building and building and building. And again, Zampella and his team, We've talked about this a billion times. Yes, they lost a large portion of their community. There are plenty of Battlefield players, old school Battlefield players that finally threw up their hands between 5 and 2042 and said, enough's enough, I'm done. But as I've always said, gamers have some of the shortest memories in history. And it's always, what have you done for me lately? And we can talk smack about, a game that was one of our favorites that got ruined. But each and every single time, I think there's a little secret hope inside all of us that this time they're going to get it right. And I don't think Battlefield's any different. And obviously, I think from the numbers, it's not any different. And now we got a couple generations that really have never paid attention to Battlefield suddenly showing up because a lot of people are talking about it. And a lot of streamers are streaming it. And you got Call of Duty streamers, famous Call of Duty streamers, playing Battlefield and having a great time, even though they've had to relearn how to play the game because you can't play this like Call of Duty and be successful. And I think that goes to show what Zampella and his team have pulled off here. I finally got hands on. Yeah, I played Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I probably between those 3 days got 14 hours in, 15 hours, somewhere in that neighborhood in. Battlefield's back, 1,000%. Again, to Cork's point, this, and to a lot of people's point that we talked about that we were hearing, I can agree now that this is a cross between 3 and 4, that you are getting a mix of 3 and 4. And like I, called out, Zampella used the title lettering from 3 on purpose. He knew what he was doing for this game, and they understood the assignment. They went out and they nailed it. Now they got to stick the landing. We've gotten exposure to 3 maps. We've gotten exposure to 4 game modes at this point. Next weekend, they're going to open up another map. I think we get Brooklyn next weekend. And they're going to open up more game modes, including Rush. Now, I want to see what Rush is playing like. That's a big mode for me. That's one of my classic favorite modes. But what they did is exactly what I said all along, that I'd be happy if they did, is you don't have to come on launch day with 20 maps, even though people will say that that's kind of expected, like a Call of Duty should have 20 maps. I don't want Zampella and his team to do that, and they're not going to do that. They're going to have 9 maps. I said, if you're going to do this and you're going to bring back Battlefield, focus in, get things right, get things tight, give me a small selection of maps that all feel good, that play good, and get the servers correct, right? And just do that. And start from there and then build out. Start bringing back your community one by one. Bring them back into the fold. Even if they're Call of Duty players now or they're Fortnite players now or whatever, they will make time to come back and play Battlefield. Even if it's not full time, even if it just gets in their rotation. Start there and then work your way out, because this is not going to be a game that you just drop. Again, this is a live service game. We're going to have we're going to have map packs. We're going to have all sorts of stuff. We're going to have all the stuff that you come to expect nowadays from these types of games. You've got time to, make more more content, bring in, new vehicles. Like right now, we don't have any boats that we're aware of right now. It doesn't sound like they're going to have any boats out the gate. Boats used to be big in a lot of Battlefields. Boats are freaking amazing. I love the water maps in Battlefield games. I hope they do that. But what they did do is they really nailed the tank gameplay right now. They nailed the driving of Jeeps. From most people's perspective, the airplanes are good. They could be better. That is what I'm hearing. I'm not a flyer. I'm not a pilot. I suck. The helicopters supposedly are pretty good. From what I've seen out of the strafing runs that I've seen from some of the Apache pilots out there, they're pretty damn good. But what they did was they got down and dirty with the basics. And what they did is show in this beta that they nailed each and every single one of those. The gunplay feels good. Yes, there's some people saying, well, you could have a little bit more recoil. Okay, sure, maybe. But I will tell you this, it's not like it's absent. Again, a lot of the weapons you start with in the beta are fully kitted out or have, at least, 3 or 4 attachments already on them. Those do make a difference. The LMG that I started with was not good to start with. I actually was scratching my head. I'm like, yo, because I'm an LMG guy. I like playing LMG and Call of Duty and Battlefield, etc. I was like, yo, this ain't feeling good at all. Like, and then I got my first couple of attachments, put those suckers on. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Now we're starting to dial in. Okay, this is feeling good. Everything about this, the atmosphere, the cinematic, moment-to-moment Battlefield gameplay feels like we're back in 3 and 4, which has not been there. The destruction, while I wish it was full Levolution like it used to be, which it is not, is so much more than what we've had. And all I said was that Pella had to do was bring back 75-80% of the old games. He's done that in the destruction. It's 75 to 80% of the old games like Bad Company 2. It feels so good, and it is so much more with all the particle effects and stuff on current hardware because, again, folks, there is no last-gen version of this game. They are focused on Xbox Series, PlayStation 5 only. There is no Xbox One. There is no PlayStation 4. The particle effects, the everything that has to do with destruction is just phenomenal. And it is a special game already in beta because, again, they've captured what makes, to me, Battlefield's, the top. Again, I'm biased. Again, everybody who I say this up front, I am biased towards Battlefield to this day. I still would prefer, if you gave me a choice that I have to play Battlefield or COD for the rest of my life, I will choose Battlefield 100 out of 100 times. Period, point blank. That includes 2042. That includes 5. That includes any of the garbage that you want to throw at me. I would rather play Battlefield because there is something just different about it. But here, this gives you that moment-to-moment, oh my gosh moments. Like, again, I'll just give you a small example. Again, this is beta. It's not full release. Steele and I think Fuzz was on with us still. I think it was Thursday night after Mav got off. But we were locked, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was after Fuzz got off too. No, it wasn't. It had to be. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Thursday night. Yeah. So Steele, we were locked in a dom mode, domination match. And it was a back and forth. Like, it was a complete back and forth, which, again, love the balance. It's just awesome. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We had to make one final push. Whoever made the final push, that was it. It was going to be game over on this last point. We rolled up 5-6 deep at least into this all at one time. Almost the entire squad was wiped out of all 6 players. 2 of them died right in front of me, Steele and one other person. I was playing support. I rezzed them, defibbed them instantaneously. Defib is amazing, by the way. They made it super quick because you don't have to charge them up unless you want to. Super quick. Defibbed them both right there on the stairs. They pop up, charge up to the point. We wipe the remaining couple guys that were taking that point from the enemy side. We take the point and win. And it was like they had like 20 tickets left, or we had like 22 tickets left when we pulled out the victory. That is something that is just not replicated in many games. It just simply is. You affected the entire course of that victory simply by being in the right moment, the right time, with the right equipment. Battlefield does that better than any other game that has come before it, outside of going full military sim or going back to like your Rainbow Six, Vegas days, that kind of stuff. You didn't ever felt like you were taking that moment to moment and changing the tide like you do in Battlefield. And is that every match? Of course it's not every match when you're playing with 64 players or on a map, but can you find that in a playthrough multiple times? Absolutely you can. And Zampella and his team have perfected that. I just see some people complaining about map size, that the maps feel a little small. I think that is we'll have to wait and see what the rest of the maps look like, first of all. But I think that is a design choice here, because what I have noticed is one of the things that a Battlefield player, especially an OG Battlefield player, will know, it was a meme before memes were a thing, was that you would be running for about 2 minutes in Battlefield across this huge area, and you would finally get to the action, and you get sniped in the head, and you got to start all the way back again. It was one of the memes. Yeah. That rarely happens in these maps. You are constantly finding yourself, even if you do have to jog for a bit, because you missed out on a vehicle or whatever. You jog for a bit, you are finding action. You are right there in the middle of it. Even if you have to respawn, you're back into it again in a relatively short time. So I think that was a design choice to try to cut down on that feeling that a lot of people did not like about Battlefield. But we'll see. Maybe we'll have some bigger maps. But right now, visually, it hits. Sound-wise, it is one of the best Battlefields, and that's saying a lot because I think Battlefield, through every single iteration of Battlefield, has beat Call of Duty overall from a sound factor. A lot of has to do with the amount of vehicles, the amount of explosions, everything, the gunfire though, everything in it. This one is one of the best sounding Battlefields of all time, which already puts it way ahead of the curve. Servers have been really good. Very few bugs at all, if any. We've run into some minor things, and again, the servers have been getting slammed. Very few issues, like already way ahead of the curve of most of the other Battlefields that we can think of in recent memory. This tells me they are ready. This October release is going to be big. People have already taken notice if they stick the entire landing with the full release. This is not a COD killer. Stop with the comparison. Stop with the, COD's found it. No, this is about competition like Cork was talking about. This is something that I said has been missing for a very long time, since the days where Battlefield never overtook COD. COD always outsold Battlefield. However, when Battlefield was making noise and there was a strong Battlefield community out there and a very loud Battlefield community, it did create that competition that sideways the COD devs had to look over and say, what can we do to keeping ourselves just a little bit ahead? Like, even though we're not the same type of, we got to keep ourselves a little bit ahead. What can we do to improve here? What can we do here? They have not had that in over a decade, and it's starting to show. If Battlefield could come back in October and be a portion of what it used to be, and I think right now we had some guesses out there, PTK, over the past couple of weeks about what we thought this could sell in a 30-day period. I think we're about, if they stick this landing with the way it's playing, with the numbers that we're seeing here, I think we were all pretty spot on. 7 to 10 million first 30 days, I don't think is out of the realm. This, again, we went back and I pulled those stats. Battlefield 1 sold almost 25 million copies. I think that this one could be there if they can nail it, because there's going to be so much more to this game with the portal, which we haven't seen yet, which is going to be created. They're going to be able to add all classic maps into this. Again, build out that map to a huge number of maps, and they've got a bunch that they can bring in. I think that they're on the precipice of becoming competition for attention for COD once more. And as much as already we got quotes from the Activision devs saying, we're not worried, COD's too big to fail. Famous last words, people. Stop doing that thing. Stop doing it. We all industries, we've had the people. We're too big to fail. And what do you know? Just take notice. And I want them to push. I want them to be pushed a little bit. And I think that Battlefield has a chance to do that this year and going forward. Shout out to Zampel and his team, though. What a hell of a beta. Again, the Halo beta, the Halo multiplayer beta was spectacular. I'm the casual Halo guy. But even I was on the shows going, if you're going to beta something, like, this is how it should come out. Like, you get that hype. Like, this is what it should be. Near flawless as far as a beta goes. Not everything's going to be perfect. This is not done. They're going to continue to balance. Yes, the shotties have to be nerfed. Yes, I could sit here and pull out some little criticisms here and there, but this is what you want a beta to show up. This is about as good as it freaking gets for a first-person shooter beta, especially trying to bring back a franchise like Battlefield. Yo, I'm so happy. I'm so ecstatic, if you guys can't tell. Battlefield's back. I can't wait till October. I highly doubt I'll touch much of Call of Duty. Of course, it's in Game Pass. I'll touch it a little bit this year, but I pre-ordered Phantom Edition. I don't care. I don't care what you guys think about pre-ordering anymore. Again, this is the type of game that I'm going to give my money to, because I already know just from the beta that I'm going to be spending a lot of time in this game and having a great time. So I'm so ecstatic about this.
That's fucking awesome. And I knew you were going to go off like that. That's why I wanted to give you the floor for sure, chat, because I knew that was going to happen. Shout out to you, Pong. And I'm so glad to hear Battlefield fans, because you guys can deserve it. We deserve it, goddammit. I'll throw myself in that pile because I've always wanted to see Battlefield back in this place, and it deserves, but it only deserves what it earns, right? So it kind of, at this point, up until now, has earned this right to get this much praise, and it's good to see the community be happy and not be so divided for once. You know what I mean? Because that's generally where we're at, talking about the Battlefield community. But it's so awesome to see the game be in this state, and I'm so happy to see how well it's going to do. And you know what the funny thing is? I went back and looked at those numbers too, and I felt like those might be a little low looking at things now. It could be even bigger than what we talked about, Pong. Like you said, a lot's going to determine that, but like it can be, we can be talking like a couple million concurrent here on day of release, right? Like those type of massive numbers, 1.5, 2 million type of stuff. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
So, yeah, it's very, very possible. So we'll see, but I'm just happy to be talking about it in this way. I mean, just happy to be at this point with Battlefield. So let me throw this over to you, Fuzz. And so just to kind of clear the air here, Fuzz was not, I'm not going to say he wasn't sold, because he was, 1 foot in, right?
Yeah, it was definitely. I was feeling the hype. I've been burned by EA too many times, and I was not looking for a day one patch excuse, or having some of the hit detection stuff that we saw in 2042 early on, or at least I was seeing where people could hide in like the air conditioning vents or the cooling tower stuff and shoot out, but you couldn't shoot them in there type of thing. So none of that happened. Like I saw a video where somebody found like a crack in the floor, and they kept on blowing up the building around it to get more people there. So they would lure people there. They would kill the one guy, res him, and then he killed. There were some shenanigans out there and stuff, but nothing that was game breaking. But I will say, yeah, the shotties need a little less potency.
Yeah.
Or add more potency to the LMG close up, because those things will shred you in real life. So I don't know, but yeah, I was worried about it not being, fun to play different classes, or just running in a squad where it's like, oh, you run around the corner and the tank wipes all of you out. Well, yeah, it could happen, but there's so much more to it, where you got the anti-tank weapons in the streets, you got, mines and different things you can use, rocket launchers that work. The fact that you can, block up some of the roads by knocking the building, although the tanks can still go over some of the debris and stuff. But I just like the fact that you can basically make your own pathways. If there's only 2 or 3, alleyways and stuff, you can essentially make your own pathway sometimes through the buildings and knock a hole through them and cut through that way, or bound around and stuff along those lines. Map size seems fine to me. A bigger map would possibly be cool, but I'm fine with the map size as it is, because you don't have that 2-minute run type of deal, or at least it doesn't feel like that, where it's open fields. There's a lot of avenues you can take and a lot of cover that you can find. Although, man, snipers on that one board where it's like you start on the low ground and the other team has the high ground.
Yeah, Iberia is bad. It's bad.
That one, it should be like snipers aren't allowed for like the first 5 minutes, but I know they're not going to do
it. It's like paparazzi in the hills, huh?
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at all those glowing spots. And I'm dead. Headshot. But no, everything on this was fun. Even dealing with the snipers, because a few people found some creative ways, whether it was, getting the helicopter up there or getting the tanks to basically try to bring down the mountain. Now the mountain needs to collapse as well on their heads. That would be something they could try as well, because some of those artillery shells should do damage to the rock mountain and stuff. But yeah, I'm pre-ordering this. Jedi Survivor burned me. 2042 burned me. What was it? Need for Speed Unbound. It was probably my Xbox was failing. It was like the launch edition, and for whatever reason, I guess that game decided it wanted to, turn off my Xbox. So I was not a fan of EA at the moment, but this kind of turns it around. Server space, yeah, it sucks, but it kind of expected it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. What I was expecting wasn't as bad as opposed to the queues that I saw and how fast it goes through the queue. Like I was expecting it to be like 40-minute waits every day, every time I go on. It'll say a queue of like 90,000 or 60 something thousand. I go get something to drink. It's like sometimes if I take too long to go get something to drink, it restarts. But there have been times where it's like, oh, it's already, I'm in. I'm on the menu. Okay. And you're ready for a match. So if they could just get more servers for this launch, because I don't think everybody, because I'll admit I screwed up on the whole early access stuff. Like I downloaded the app or downloaded the game on my Xbox, not knowing that I needed a separate beta code or anything like that from Twitch or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I should be able to. Oh, it downloads. Yeah. Oh, it'll start. But yeah, you won't be able to get into a match. And I know some people have had similar issues and stuff, but yeah, it was a ton of fun. The LMGs, yeah, the attachments definitely do help. I wound up doing mounting on some of the windowsills and things like that for a bit. Although it does keep you as a easy target for the teams to come after you. And I love the fact that you can start hearing the footsteps and stuff like that. But yeah, it's so good to have a more tactical, fast-paced shooter. I wouldn't say it's full-on tactical like the military sims, but it's so much more accessible.
It's in between COD and those.
Yeah,
no,
and
sure. Perfect.
And it's in a fun way. I mean, yeah, it could be frustrating where you're ahead for a while, and there were some times where it's like they kept on taking A after. It's like, all right, we go back, and then now they got all the so it's there were times it was like, oh, it just feels like we're taking one step forward, two steps back, but ended the night on a positive one, and that was a close one. I think that was the one that Pong was talking about where he wound up resing the guys just before they took that last point, and it's like, yeah, we were almost out of it. It was just it was like on
man.
Yeah. So yeah, this game I don't think it's ever going to kill COD. COD will kill COD. That it's going to be more so something dumb that they do. They'll take them out of that position. But people are going to continue to buy COD because I remember when people were bad mouthing the futuristic trailer and said it was the worst COD ever, and yet that one still sold 11 million copies in 2 months. So, like, if it's the worst trailer and people are saying to boycott it, but it still sells 11 million. You know how many games would give a left arm for 11 million after 2 years, let alone 2 months? Like, come on. Like
the one unknown here, Fuzzy, is the battle royale mode. If they pull that off and make it interesting, well, that opens up. And again, I'm not going to sit here and go the EA, the EA execs that are saying 100 million players. Okay, come on. But I'm saying if they pull off a battle royale that does garner some attention and pull some people out of Warzone and maybe even pulls a couple people out of Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? Things get interesting at that point, right? Because then all of a sudden the conversation grows a little bit more in a whole different direction, but it's still about Battlefield 6. That's what Warzone did for Call of Duty. That's what Call of Duty Mobile did for Call of Duty for all these years. Even when the main game, and let's be real, Warzone was carrying, Mobile was carrying, people didn't play the standard multiplayer like they used to on Call of Duty, right? Because of the other options. Even if that happens here just a little bit, Battlefield starts to grow, and that's where things start to get interesting, like PTK just said. So
that's uncharted territory for Battlefield as well. So that's an unknown quantity that we just don't really have right now. So like you said, that is kind of an ace in the hole, because if that grows in a meaningful way, now a lot of things got to happen, people, because that's a very interesting space to try and operate out of. There's very few games that work. So you do have a leg up because you're Battlefield, which means you already have a fan base. You don't have to go out and like get one. You already have people that are watching. So we just have to see how serious they were about a BR. How much emphasis. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say my prediction though, like kind of along what Pong is saying. I think they do grow it, but I think winds up being the sacrificial lamb is Apex Legends.
Possible.
I don't want it to be the case, but I get the weird feeling like even some of the Apex Legends crowd will start looking at that battle royale and be like, yeah, that's a ton of fun. And
Well,
I don't know.
There's some
it's
things
gonna
that
be
they're gonna have to
interesting.
get over, but you're right. No, you're absolutely. I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are looking like on Apex. I don't know what the state has been.
They've had
to
a
be
little
fair,
return. They were dipping bad.
Okay.
They were
Yeah.
losing. They were hemorrhaging.
I heard
they've
heard
had a
that as
comeback.
well.
They've had a
so
comeback.
I
little
know
bit.
it comes and goes with the seasons as well. I know it can be up and down, very much like Fortnite, although Fortnite is a much bigger product, but I know it
Yeah.
kind of comes and goes. So that's good to hear that they're kind of on a rebound. But that is interesting too, because I didn't consider that, Pong. That is the one unknown quantity. There is a BR mode. There's going to be something there, and if it's something quantifiable, if it's something that people can at least hold on to for a little while they like build it out, because I don't know what exactly it is. We haven't seen anything yet.
No.
That's the one gameplay we haven't seen, huh? There's none for that, right? They don't have
No,
any,
we kind of saw the
nobody's
map.
played it?
They teased it, right? They just teased
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
of what it's going to be look like. Like I said, and because because battle royales are free to play, like they're always the unknown quantity. They're extremely hard to pull off. That's why again,
Yeah.
there's only they're black hole games, and nobody wants to leave the one they're currently playing. But there is some dissatisfaction out there, especially like Fuzzy just brought up Apex Legends. Call of Duty Warzone. There's been, I won't say Fortnite because Fortnite community is just the Fortnite community. They just keep rolling. But I'm just saying there has been some grumblings and some dissatisfaction with some of the black hole, games IP that have been around for a while. And so that always creates an opportunity if the buzz is all positive about the main attraction in Battlefield, which of course is the regular multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. And that's going positive, and Portal starts kicking off and people start creating some crazy ass games in there. And all of a sudden they show up with that battle royale soon after launch. And people start talking about that, then all of a sudden some people might be willing to pop on in for free to play and try it out and see what's going on with it. They got a shot. Again, Zampella, he's proven it. He is behind Apex Legends. This is the guy who made Titanfall. They won't let him do another Titanfall for whatever reason. So he turned around, took that movement, put it into Apex Legends, created what has been a money printing machine for EA, one of the best battle royales out there, outside of obviously Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone. So this dude already knows how to do this. So what if he just takes that and puts it in a Battlefield, creates something unique again? He can attract people. People don't go just because they don't probably even know who he is outside of us. But what I'm saying is that quality, he gets how to attract gamers, and he's proven it time and time and time again, as he's doing right now with Battlefield 6. There's always a shot, man. I'm never going to say it's never possible that all of a sudden he gets something going with a Battlefield, battle royale, which I don't really have interest in, but who knows?
So I'm on the opposite end of that. I don't know. I think a Battlefield or like a battle royale would be a bad move, and like a bad move for Battlefield, especially after all this hype where people are like, this is like you said, 3 and 4. This is like, it's amazing. It's back. It's this. And then they're like, guess what? We're going to do Call of Duty. We're going to do another 2042 and take us out of what we've already established with our consumer base and our fan base. And I don't know. I mean, I can see it working because, it's black hole games. Especially if you already have some of the maps already done and somehow you find a way to integrate all of them into one big map, so you already have a lot of the groundwork done for you, that end aspect. So it's not like a huge wasted development budget. I just don't know. Yeah. If it would fit well with Battlefield and its style and what
I obviously agree with you, Cork. It's just obviously EA's upper management when they said, well, we want Battlefield to do 100 million. Battlefield supposedly has cost over 400 million already to create. There's a lot of pressure. We know why they're doing a battle royale. I agree with you because, again, I'm not even a battle royale fan. I just want to keep Battlefield the way it is. But I'm just saying there is a separate, different kind of audience that does come to battle royales too. That maybe they can find their spot within that. I think the Battlefield community itself, I don't think everybody's going to move over to that. I think most people like the style that Battlefield currently has with Rush and Breakthrough and that and Conquest. And I don't think that's going to disappear just because they come with one. But yeah, I get what you're saying too. It doesn't feel like it fits what Battlefield's all about. But in this day and age, it kind of kind of got too
You
money
never
wise,
know.
bro. Try.
Because also you can see, like, yeah, if they do a battle royale, the only way I can see it working is they kind of go a little bit more full tactical sim. You know, like take more of that Battlefield charm of the tactical, sim aspect of it. It's definitely in the more arcadey version of it. Like we've all said, it's not that military shooter sim, but that's the only way I can kind of see it if it kind of like doubles down on the tactical aspect of it
Or the
versus
vehicles,
more arcadey. Yeah.
Or the vehicles. The vehicles could be there. I know Fortnite's got vehicles and all that kind of shit now, but really with what they do, in with Battlefield, I mean, they could differentiate themselves from PUBG. PUBG's got, but the vehicles, like having jets and helicopters and tanks rolling through, like it could get kind of wild if they lean into that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
that could be interesting for sure. So, and once again, Pong, this is the idea, right? I know you said you're not necessarily on board with that, and like you said, I think I agree with you. I think a lot of Battlefield fans are just happy that they're getting the experience they're getting now, and they probably don't want very much to change. But it is kind of a cool proposition to wonder, how many people would enjoy a Battlefield BR, right? You kind of dangle the carrot out there a little bit. Now we know why they're doing it. Like you said, we know the intention, right? We got deadlines to meet people. We got numbers to hit. These lights got to come on tomorrow when you get in here, right? So you got to make sure certain things are done. But it is kind of a cool proposition because you never know. Sometimes accidents work. Shit, right? Sometimes accidents work. Sometimes you're not intending on things to work out the way they do, and you might catch something, and might catch lightning in the bottle, right? Some people might, actually enjoy that a little bit more than you intended them to, right? So it could be very interesting to see going forward. But I think we're gonna wrap that up, at least as far as the Battlefield stuff. But I guess we got a couple minutes here to spare, chat. So if you guys go ahead and drop some questions in chat right now, we'll take those. If I missed any earlier, I'll go back. But I appreciate you guys for watching the show. You guys are freaking awesome and amazing. But yeah, so anything that we missed, anything else, Pong, that we might want to double back on, Fuzz? A lot actually happened this week.
I don't think I was so busy in Battlefield. I mean, again, outside the PlayStation, we're talking multi-platform again, which is whatever. I just time and time again. I don't know, man. Rod Ferguson leaving. Ferguson leaving. I don't know.
I wonder where he lands. Like I can see him starting up something, or Netflix may have recruited him as well, because a lot of people seem to go Netflix
or he goes to just a
gaming.
big studio. He's a closer. He's known as a closer, right? So again, whether everybody likes him or not, he did walk into Blizzard and get Diablo finished. Whether or not you appreciate the early returns on Diablo, it doesn't really matter. So maybe he goes somewhere big again. Maybe Chinese money's all the rage right now, Fuzz. You know that. So he could go to Tencent. He could close some deals over there. Obviously, he could close some games. Maybe Ubisoft actually makes a move on Rod. It brings him in there to try to write a couple things. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
That would be a nice change of pace. Cover shooter in Division. Have him over there helping with that. Possibly get what do you call him?
Ghost Recon.
Massive. Get Massive to wrap Division 3 up so they can possibly look at Outlaws 2, because I think that was the thing that, with that being canceled, that pushes Division 3 up. But I know there are some people out there with a petition for Outlaws 2, so maybe he can help them get on track for that.
I'm sure his phone was ringing the next day. Matter of fact, probably the next 10 minutes after making that post. I'm pretty sure the emails.
If he didn't already have something lined up.
If he didn't already have something lined up. And we'll find
out. Like Fuzzy said, somebody came along and opened up the checkbook and said, "Hey, Rod, what do you think about? What are you doing over there at Blizzard? You okay there?"
Because there was no reason for him to leave at Blizzard. He was
none at all. Yeah, none at all. You're absolutely true. So absolutely, I agree with you guys. We've seen this enough in the industry enough times, and this definitely looks like somebody brought a bigger bag along, or somebody had a better idea at very least, or was willing to hand him possibly an entire studio of his own. I mean, maybe a new studio as well too. That could, I'm sure, Rod absolutely would deserve it, right? His caliber of his cachet absolutely deserves that. So that would be interesting to see too. So we'll definitely see what happens from that though. But what else did we miss this week? We had a few other things happening. Let's see, because I know there was a couple things in chat. Once again, let us know as well too. If you guys have any questions, we'll answer those below. Let me see.
Oh, what do you call it? Ready or Not still on the climb as far as sales. It seems like they definitely made the right move coming to console. I know it was in early access on PC for a good bit, and then they did the 1.0 release, and now they got it on console, and it's thriving. Which maybe this is one of those things where Yves could step back from the Rainbow Squad and let them kind of make a game that wasn't solely about monetization, because I think, not knocking Extraction or whatever that other Alien Rainbow game was, but
we had some fun there, but no.
I mean, fun modes and stuff like that, but I think people have been asking more for the tactical, whether it be PvP or PvE, without aimbot type, NPCs and things. That would be what people would want, or at least there would be an audience for that would be just as loyal, and you don't have to go necessarily free to play to do so. Like eventually Rainbow went free to play. So
here's where we've been armchairing again, Fuzz, and people have been saying for a long time, and I think that you're right. Ready or Not proves all of us who have been saying for a very long time that Rainbow Six Vegas should come back, that they should lean into tactical stuff, that if they're going to go back to Ghost Recon, lean into the tactical. Ubisoft has this perception that nobody plays those games. Well, here comes along Ready or Not that leans completely into that direction. Have you seen the video? Like, I haven't played it yet. Now it's Xbox Play Anywhere, by the way, everybody. It just showed up on Xbox Play Anywhere out of the blue.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. Cork, I'm glad you found that too. Mav and I are both considering getting it because we're both big old school Rainbow Six fans. I started watching videos. I didn't even really know about this game. I didn't even know it had been on PC since 2021. I was like, what? So when I started looking at the videos though, and how much they leaned into the tactile, how much they leaned into the adult side of crime, and like, hey, we're gonna touch things that like a lot of places wouldn't. I was like, okay, like I want to support these guys. I'm thinking about picking this game up, so I think it does prove Yves wrong in this case too, for sure.
It's definitely a worthwhile pickup, although, well, they've updated the AI so they're not as aimbotty as they were when I first got it, because there were times it's like I open up a door tactically, just peek, and I'm already headshot. Like there's no line of sight. How did he? Oh, okay. I see how they purposely had it where, the aimbotting early on was bad, but after or just before 1.0, they definitely fixed the AI. Both if you're doing the AI team as well as the AI criminals in the buildings and things like that. But doing this with a squad, having like, at least, in a party or something like that, being able to, stack going in and so forth, clear your sectors. This game is perfect, like, for that stuff. And there's practice, there's, report card scores based on how tactical you make it. And it's
Cork, have you played this?
Yeah. So I've been playing it since end of 2022, 2023.
Oh boy. Can't believe I'd never heard of this before.
Yeah, it was on early access. My buddy got me onto it, and like Fuzzy's right, dude. Like the aimbotting, I mean, this game was insane. You turn a corner, and that's it. Like you had to be really like moving tactically. Like you want to slow. Like you're walking through everything, like turning corners. Pieing the corner kind of deal. And using all your stuff at the right moments. Yeah, it was insanely difficult. So I haven't played it recently since the 1.1 came out. Like I said, gaming ADHD, something new comes out, and I'm like, ooh, shiny, and I jump to that. And then I got 8 other games that I haven't even started yet. So this kind of unfortunately fell to the wayside for me. But now seeing all the hype that it's getting and everything, I'll probably buy it on Xbox again too. But I have it on Steam. Absolutely amazing game. I'm so glad they're getting the their just dues for how hard they've worked on this game for years now.
2 million sold, right, on console?
Yeah, 2 million. Yep, insane too. Like you said, out of nowhere too.
Yeah, Xbox Play Anywhere too. I might pick it up just because of that. Oh man.
Yeah.
So worth
Yeah.
it.
Shout out to them too for kicking ass too. And this is happening more often, people. This is what we're talking about. I mean, anytime people get to talking about doomsday to the industry, these are the kind of examples that I bring up every single time because we give these successes and they don't always get the notoriety, like you guys said. This is a kind of out of nowhere, probably even for the studio it was a surprise as well too. But these are the kind of things that we do need to highlight in the industry because they are becoming fairly normal. We're not necessarily getting what we want out of the big AAA games anymore. So you will see this happen more often, and things tend to balance themselves out. But it's a very good thing. So that's just a sign of how healthy things are. So I'm glad to see that they're having the success, especially in that tactical space, because that's not easy to do.
I was gonna say Pong 2 was right on that about the sim. Like, well, sim aspect, like sim games are coming back, and that's where they kind of died out because of Call of Duty. It went more arcadey and more fun to play, things like that. Like that's how big Call of Duty and Fortnite are, is they change industry trends like at the snap of a finger. And yeah, so I'm so glad because sim games are some of my favorite genres of titles. But yeah, he was right where it's like Ubisoft saw that the trend was going more arcadey and they got rid of Vegas, and the whole sim kind of genre died for a bit. Thrived on PC for a small niche group of gamers, but then now that it's back, like I said, you can see the reward if you do it just right, like Ready or Not does, and some other games.
What's funny, Cork, is they did find out though that it was still viable because Siege basically went back to some of the roots, right? And it worked. Like that's their money maker. Without Siege, they would be in a world of freaking hurt beyond what they even are right now. So that's what's hilarious. But yet they refuse, like with some of their other again, Ghost Recon's a perfect example. Like, I mean, I want to see what the new one's going to be, but they've just refused to go back to what made them games great and why those franchises were beloved. And truly, even if the masses went more towards that arcadey, there was such a large group of us old heads just sitting out here going, just give us what you gave us before. We will come back and buy. You don't have to spend $400 million on this freaking game. Make a $50 million game and let 5 million of us buy your game. Like that's where we were at. But nah, Ubisoft had to chase the golden goose this entire time. I'm just happy that there are games like that. That's why I love the indie and AA scene so much. Especially now that I'm on PC, is because they fill the gap for all the stuff that we've missed out on. Like I said, I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of Ready or Not until it showed up on console. I was like, what is this? And I started looking at it, I'm like, 2021? What? How did I miss this? And now I'm seriously considering buying it, even though I don't have really time for it. Let's go.
Awesome. And I think with that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, man. But it was a phenomenal show. It was a phenomenal, awesome show, man. Had a great guest here on the show. And once again, before you guys head out, once again, please show all your love and support with all of the links down in the description for the guests as well, too, first and foremost. Go ahead and show some loves. But yeah, let's go ahead and go around the horn here before we shut things down. But let's start with you, Cork. Once again, brother, glad to have you on the show. You are the first new guest on the show in a while, so it's cool to have the new energy on the show, man. Appreciate you. Like I said, I am a viewer from afar of what you do on Breakfast with Boom and some of the other things you do, brother, but you look like things are going well, and I continue to push that everything will go well for you, brother. But let everybody know where they can find you, and you're always welcome back here on the Shop Podcast, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Like as always, Fuzzy, Pong, to you as well. Thank you guys for having me on. Let me spit my bars and everything like that. To your community, I've been chatting with them on the side. Absolutely loved it. I see a lot of reoccurring people as well that I see on Boom and other podcasts. So it's nice that we're all coming together and talking about such an amazing hobby that we all love, and that's video gaming. So glad you have such a positive and healthy community here.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for me, you guys can follow me at the Korkenstein on Twitter, or Blue Skies or Threads, just the Korkenstein, or Korkenstein, however you want to say it. I could go either way. Web Dave always makes fun of me because he has this a soundbite of Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder, where he's like Korkenstein, and he goes, it's like Korkenstein, and yeah, he plays it every time I'm on. So yeah, you guys can find me there. I have 2 channels. One we're kind of refiguring out. So that one is kind of on hiatus until we see what we want to do with it. The second one is Game Pass Gumbo. We did just have an episode. Go check it out. We had Paladin Topaz. For those that don't know, he was like one of the original Sea of Thieves content creators. We were discussing Rare. So we decided to bring him on so he could talk about his experience going to Rare in London or Birmingham, and talk about, Rare in general, what their state is at, what we think coming in, things like that. Just healthy discussion with somebody that's actually been there and hung out with the developers. And we all love Rare and what they do. So go check that out. We'll be doing some streams, I think, of Wildgate. We just switched to Streamlabs Ultra. So we were on EV Mux. So our content creation aspect now has been probably rapidly increased with the tools we have to start doing more cool stuff. So you should see more streams from us. I think last I checked, at 98. So we're two subs away from 100. And then, if you guys can, please. Thanks again, everybody. I appreciate it. I'd love to be back on.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you, Cork. You guys know what to do. Go show our guests some love. Like I said, all of that information is down in the description. The links to the Twitter, the YouTube pages, all of his information is down below. Once again, Cork, appreciate you, bro, taking a little bit of time out of your weekend to hang out with us. And you are always invited back on the Shop Podcast when you have some free time. So do not be surprised if you get a random DM from me during the week, one week, randomly. So appreciate you coming out, hanging out with us, man. We had a great time, and I hope you had a good time here hanging out with us as well. So thank you for kicking it with us, brother. So let's go and move on to my brothers, man. Shout out to these guys for making me look good every single week. They make the show what it is, as well as you too, chat. Pawn, we're gonna start with you. Another great show in the books. Had Cork on today, a new guest. It's been a while since we had kind of a brand new guest, so that's always good. But got a great show, man. Got some Battlefield talk in, so everything's going swimmingly.
Life is good at this point, brother. So we are rolling along. Yeah, no, it was awesome to have Cork on. Again, appreciate the new and different perspectives, and obviously as somebody who has been in the industry, nothing but respect. Whether I disagree with things or not, I always respect anybody who's done this because it's amazing. I wish I would have made some different decisions in my life, so I possibly could have worked in this industry at one point, but just love to hear Cork come on finally and be here. And obviously, Cork, get ready, because PTK ain't lying. He likes to bring back people. You will be getting the call for sure. Once in the family, always in the family. So thank you, Cork, for taking your time and giving it to us here at the Shop Podcast. And obviously, Fuzzy PTK, absolute blast to talk to you about you guys, talk with you guys about this stuff too. PTK, missed you on Battlefield. Hopefully, once it does launch, we get some time in.
For sure.
Or if you get some chance this next weekend as well, because it is going to be open beta this next weekend with a new set of things to unlock. So if you get a chance, brother, love to have you drop in, because man, we had a good time, Fuzz and Mav and Steel and myself the other night. So love to see you drop in, brother. So everybody in chat, thank you all for showing up, always coming back. The Shop Podcast, we're on a heck of a streak here. I think this is 4 weeks in a row now. PTK, are we on 4 streaks?
Yep.
4 weeks.
Yep.
So we are back. We are working on Sunday afternoons, Sunday evenings. What a great time slot. But thank you all for coming out. Again, nothing but love and respect, because, again, without any of you, not just here at the shop, but all the other shows you guys are actually in the chats on, we wouldn't exist. So thank you all for coming out and enjoying this hobby with us. Otherwise, it's you guys know how to find me. It's Pong Soul everywhere. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Otherwise, my weeks start on Thursday over on the Fun Speculation channel for our Thursday night, not PM to PM, Xbox Ultimate Family Show for Thursday nights now, whatever we're going to call it. I don't think Mav has an official title yet, but we start there at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time on Thursday nights. So join us. And then, of course, Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen. Myself, my brother from another Steel Rain, we did a whole 5-hour stream of Battlefield 6 beta. We had community members jumping in. We had all sorts of stuff on Saturday. Again, we are gamers first, but Saturdays is where you find me and Steel, live, raw, and uncut, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours normally of just gaming talk, big opinions, big speculation. We get the community involved. The chat definitely dictates a lot of our conversations, but it's usually 3+ hours. So join us for Living Split Screen, and then God willing, back here Sunday afternoon, evening for another episode of the Shop Podcast next week. Listen, y'all, it's the golden age of gaming. Whatever you're playing, keep playing it. Get out there and enjoy some of this stuff. My Assassin's Creed Mirage just dropped into Game Pass, everybody. I got it downloaded. I haven't even touched it yet because of the freaking beta. I got that to play. Listen, there's a ton of stuff out there. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to y'all real soon. PTK, get us out of here, brother.
Appreciate you, Pong. And you guys know what to do. Like he already said, go follow him. All the information is down in the description below, Pong. Appreciate you every single week, brother. I need that energy. You are truly the Duracell battery of the Shop Podcast. So appreciate you, man. Always being here, brother. So moving on to my other brother, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Another show in the books, man. 4 weeks in a row now. Things are still getting back to normalcy. Things are still starting to feel a little bit more normal here at the Shop Podcast. But, man, we bringing it every week. Had a great guest on this week with Cork. I know you're familiar with him, but it was his first time here on the Shop. So that was always good, brother. But let everybody know where they can find you, man.
Oh, yeah. This was an awesome show. Glad we had Cork on today. Always love hearing his thoughts on Breakfast with Boom, and having him on today was another great time. Always love doing this with you, Pong and PTK. Just, this hobby we all enjoy. Just love talking about it. And everybody in the chat, thank you guys for coming out. Greatly appreciate the support, guys. Always love interacting with you guys. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere on pretty much all social media except for Facebook. You'll be able to find me. But look forward to, I do want to let everyone know, no Pixelated Echoes tonight. We'll probably do an episode Monday evening, so be prepared for the posting on that. But there is Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming with me and Mr. Boomstick, and Chaos Lounge on Monday. Thursday, Pong may mention the Fun Speculation Family on Mav's channel at Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No name for the show just yet, but basically it's the Fun Spec Fam, a combination of all the previous shows wrapped into one. And then on Friday, Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming. Me, Cork, and Boom, and usually Crispy Bomb, and sometimes a few others come and join us, talking about gaming, kind of, starting off the weekend, and then right back here for the Shop Podcast. Hope to see you guys all right back here, same time, same channel. Look forward to being there. See you then.
I appreciate you, Fuzz, man. Once again, you guys know what to do. Go follow Fuzz. All of that information is down below, man. Appreciate Fuzz being here every single weekend, man. Shout out to you, brother. So last but not least, your host here, PTK Blam. Hit me up mainly on Blue Sky as well as Twitter. PTK Blam across the board, man. Hit me up on TikTok too. I do make TikTok videos, other content Monday through Friday usually. So that's been popping off, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. So shout out to everybody that's been supporting her. But yeah, man, another great week. We will be doing this every single week going forward, man. So this is what you can expect if you're new here at the Shop Podcast, man. Let everybody know. Retweet that link out, let everybody know about the show, man. It's what you're going to get here every single Sunday, man. But I appreciate all of you. I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Please be safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.